Good afternoon and welcome to Dad Bod's Crab Cakes and Sports. You are live here on Facebook, Twitter, or X, or whatever these other things are now called. I'm not real sure, Mike, but you are live with Mike and Jason. We are. Oh, I was about to say we're Johnless, Mike, but look at that fella looking
He
thing.
looks shiny.
Yeah, you look shiny like a shiny Teletubby. Like I want to rub your belly. Look at you, buddy. Oh man, this is great. All right.
I feel
Why is
underdressed for
it,
the show all of a sudden.
John? You're not here, and things are falling apart. It says I can't. Something about a premium account on X. It won't let me do it, so I'm removing it. All right, hold on.
Yeah, you got to have a premium account on X in order to go live. So maybe one
Oh,
day when we have our, 10,000, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 downloads, we can start going live on X. But
yeah. I mean, I'm just hoping for 10 people to listen. That's all. We got to crawl before we walk, John.
exactly.
Oh man. Well, welcome. So John is we didn't think John was going to be here today. He is actually was called in last minute for work to close a deal, make money. What a loser having to work. Man, Mike, I feel I feel
What's
free over here. How do you
what's that like on the middle of the day on a Wednesday afternoon having to work? That's crazy, John.
It's tough. It's tough, man. It's tough you can't be retired like Jason or only work, 5, 6 months out of the year like a teacher, like Mike, And Mike just tells kids go run faster, you know. That's
No,
it.
no. I get
I
it.
wish they'd listen.
I'll continue to live my very full life where I know you're very envious. As I am very envious that I'm not wearing a shirt and tie right now.
Hey, let me tell you guys one thing. You know, I somebody asked me, "Why don't you wear a bow tie? Your father always wore a bow tie." And I said, "I don't want to be like my I don't want to be like my dad. I'm not wearing a bow tie." So, I
Oh,
wear the long tie.
why did your father always wear a bow tie? I don't think I ever got that answer. Did I get that answer, Mike? I don't think I did.
No.
I It had something to do with my brother. When my brother was an infant, he had some sort of medical, not like an abnormality of some sort, I think. And anyway, the doctor wore bow ties, and my dad thought, and my dad likes to be the center of attention. So, he thought, what, I can be different. And the doctor was wearing a bow tie. So he thought, you know what, I'm gonna wear a bow tie. So that's how,
Fabulous.
yeah,
I love it.
something like that.
Oh man. Well, that is excellent. Well, if you guys have noticed, it is earlier in the day that we're recording. We are trying to do as far as our changing up our schedule a little bit, but we might end up back at a time. We'll just keep you guys all posted. But yeah, apparently there's this thing going on with Taylor Swift and podcast with the Kelseys, and she made this announcement that she was going to have this big, like she's going on the Kelseys to make this big announcement, and then it got leaked. And in my house, it's like Swifties galore. So it's like it's insane, drives me crazy. But to each their own. So my wife and my daughter are up until midnight waiting until to find out what this announcement that was going down. And apparently she just released some album or something like that. So they like at 12 o'clock we're like ordering the album, and they were in a queue until like 12:30, 1 o'clock. And I'm like, okay, well, the daughter, you have school, so you're going to bed. Wife, do as you please, but I'm going to bed as well. Here's my phone, order as many as you want. So this woman has single-handedly taken over my life, and she doesn't even realize it, Mike. I don't know. I just don't know.
Taylor Swift is a thing, man. It's a real thing. Like, it has defined a generation. It's just not all the guys are involved, and that's us. All the dad bods don't quite know all the things. So I didn't know that even happened. So thanks for bringing that to my attention. Cecilia probably will tell me later today that's what went on. So she probably is in the know, and I just don't know what's going on. I had to wake up early, Jason. I burned the candle at the other end because we had our first day of soccer tryouts today for high school, and we go about 6 to 9 a.m. to try to beat the heat up here in Baltimore because it's burning hot out there right now. I'm sure it is in Florida as well. But so our numbers are down. We had 34 girls come out for 2 teams. So when I started about 5 years ago, we'd have about 60 come out, 60, 65. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on. It seems to be across the board with athletics that the numbers are going down. So we're trying to kind of hypothesize and figure out what's going on. I wonder if you guys have any takes on what you think might be causing a downturn in participation in the high school sports. A couple of guesses that we had include they started middle school sports, and it's one team for sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. So you're cutting like 30 kids for that one team. So we're thinking kids get that stigma of being cut, and then they don't want to come back out again sometimes. And additionally, just so many other opportunities for kids to go out and play club and rec and other sports and just a variety of different sports, maybe. So we're just trying to figure out, COVID came around, obviously, and wreck things. So we're just trying to get our head around where everybody is.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. I'm seeing, and also specialization earlier on than even when we were kids. When we were kids, we played baseball, basketball, soccer, cross country, whatever, and it was and didn't just specialize so early. But like I'm seeing it, even in like Lucy's trying out for volleyball at her school, and like there's only I think there's in fifth and sixth grade. I think there's like 45 girls or 50 girls or something. And there's only 18 going out for the volleyball team. When I was in middle school, each like our middle school was fairly large, and we for a Lutheran school, we had one class or three classes per grade, but we had a volleyball team for every grade, and up until seventh grade, everybody could play, and then seventh grade they started cutting people. But I think that makes a lot of sense though. If you're cutting in sixth grade, then they just go find other things to do, and it's not soccer anymore.
And I
Yeah,
think that also speaks to like real quick, Jason, to piggyback on John. I think that also speaks to kids not having that resilience of being cut and not being able to come back from it. So I think there's a mental health aspect to being cut and how to frame. I maybe call it team selection versus cuts or however you have to do it. I feel like the resilience factor is gone, and we even see that as you go through college and professional sports because now we used to have the college athletes that would stay at a school for 4 years and learn how to overcome adversity and all that kind of stuff, and now they just jump ship and find the newest opportunity. So I don't know if that's a trickle down effect or not. Jason, what's your thoughts?
Well, my first thought was, are they playing other sports? And it sounds like they're not necessarily playing volleyball or playing something else. It's they're have they just
There's
focused
some
on
volleyball. There's some volleyball interest for sure, and I think volleyball is a nice air conditioned sport in the summertime too, which kind of helps. I'm not saying it's not athletic, but it's just not to the cardiovascular level that soccer is for sure.
right. So yeah, I mean that was my first thought. My second would be, and like just piggybacking on as far as being, oh yeah, the little guy here.
Oh,
today.
special guest star.
Cole, you say hi. Yes, my son is here. For those of you that are listening, sorry for the interruption. Hold on, I'll be right there. Okay, I'll be right there. Yeah. So I was more wondering, like, as far as the cutting, like once you get to middle school, that's when you start taking things somewhat seriously. So cuts are okay, but as far as if you think you can, reprogram it and kind of say like selection and stuff like that, I mean that's one way to do it as well.
Yeah, so I'm curious if it'd be nice to have multiple middle school teams. I think that would help problem solve. Have an eighth grade team and a sixth and seventh grade team. It's just a budgetary issue right now in Harford County. They won't allow us to expand the program, but I'd be curious to see that. And there's also a bunch of magnet programs. John, I don't know what you guys have in Florida, but there is movement from high school to high school within specific magnet programs. We're one of the schools in the county that doesn't have a program that can draw from other teams, whereas other schools in the district have specific programs where students can come from our school and go to those schools as well. So I think there's just a variety of things that are going on.
Well, and I know like in Minnesota, like at my dad's school and then the school we're at in Indiana, there are club teams for more or less club teams for the schools. So the kids that are playing have played together and are um, playing with the coach or with the same system for a longer period of time and finding out earlier and earlier and earlier if they're actually good at this sport, if this is their sport, or if they really need to, expand and find a different sport. And that's kind of helpful too on your end as a coach, because you're not getting these kids who have no soccer experience, who have no soccer coaching, and they're coming in and they're saying, I understand the game of soccer. I understand where I have to be, at least the basics of where I have to be. And you're more focused on other things. I don't know what you're seeing, but that's kind of what I'm seeing, like at my dad's school, is that the kids are coming into high school much better prepared and kind of know what their fall sport is, know what their winter sport is, know what their summer sport is.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. I do think that kids are way more knowledgeable, and there's way more club soccer in this area than there was previously when we were younger per se. But there's so many of the clubs that everyone feels like they're the best. They're the best of the best, and they come in and they're like, oh my gosh, there's just so many different levels they don't see when they kind of come together, that they aren't quite to the caliber maybe that another player is, or vice versa. And I think that adversity, some kids struggle with that. It just could be that there's a jerk of a coach at the high school level and no one wants to hang out with him. But I've never really considered that, but that could be one of the issues.
Right. There you go. I mean, sometimes the answer is right in front of you, Mike. Just take a look at that mirror and, maybe that's your answer, buddy. I don't know what to tell you. Oh, well, I mean, just to kind of finish up this thought here. I mean, Mike, if you only have a certain number of kids, though, it might make your decisions a little easier. You might have more talent there than you don't have to. Now, if you don't have as many talented kids, then we have a whole different issue. But you don't necessarily need all the big numbers just to go ahead and tell them no, thank you, because it's never fun. Like if you look at all my cousins went to public school growing up, and I remember them all like being the most talented soccer players I knew, and then I'm all getting cut down to JV, and I was like, I don't understand why. But that's because there's like a million kids that go to public schools, so there's a much larger thing to choose from. So I don't know the answer, Mike, but good luck in your journey to find out, buddy.
I appreciate it.
All right. Well, we have talked youth sports. We have talked Taylor Swift. So I think that's about it for the day. I mean, I guess we'll meet up again on Sunday. No, I'm just kidding.
John's shiny forehead. Don't forget, we talked about that as well.
Oh my gosh. Stop it. It doesn't mean you go towards the camera, John. Good gracious. Okay. All right. So Ravens training camp and the Ravens preseason game this week against the Dallas Cowboys. You guys know how I feel about I just keep saying this, how I feel about preseason. Just want them to come out unscathed. Is there anything specific, and we'll start with you, John, that you're looking to have them get out of this specific game?
Well, I'm looking at the offensive line work and the offensive line giving the quarterbacks more time so that we can actually see what's going on with the receiver room, because 57 yards passing isn't going to help our receiver room. Obviously we're not talking about our top four. Our top four are set, but our practice squad guys are our fifth, sixth guy on the depth chart. We don't have that position necessarily filled yet. And if the offensive line gets run over like they did last week, we just have no opportunity in a game setting to see that stuff. So I think for me, last week was the special teams, and the special teams showed out last week. This week is going to be the offensive line and figuring out what's going on there.
Yeah, and Todd Monkey came out essentially defending Falele. So and they said that today on Locked on Ravens with Kevin Ostriker. And I mean, so anyone beating that drum, we can pretty much put that one to rest, at least for now, unless there's some serious injury that comes up, or they just realize that he just needs more time and they'll start him coming off the bench or something. Mike, is there anything that you are looking specifically that was different from game one?
I mean, specifically, I guess I'm looking for patterns. I think we're kind of trying to see how the team takes shape. So we saw one blip, last week in the first preseason game. Can we continue special team success? It's like one of those things like, what is our identity? Even with our backups in there, I'd like to see, hey, are we going to be good at special teams week in and week out? Are we going to be able to run the ball week in and week out? Like, I'm looking for the patterns that I see. Additionally, or in the opposite frame, is our passing game going to be as woeful as it was in the first week? Or are we going to be able, like you said, John, our offensive line to be able to hold up? will Cooper Rush and Leary be able to do something in the pocket and produce at the quarterback position? And do we need to find a third string quarterback? Like, is that something we're going to need to actually go out and look for on the open market, or just see, which teams are cutting which players, or are we going to go sign Carson Wentz or something crazy like that and have another option at quarterback? Hopefully we don't have to worry about that when it comes regular season, but you never know. You need some insurance policy, especially when you have Super Bowl aspirations. As far as specific players, I really enjoyed listening to Todd Monken, like you said, Jason, talk about Falalea. He said something about, like, you can't just take one video, and that clip has been circulated millions of times, of him getting flattened by a backup lineman, and just take that one glimpse and say this is who the guy is. He likened it to taking a picture of someone going to church one time and walking through the door and calling him the best Christian in the world, which I thought was funny. But just saying that he's seen a body of work from Falele that has gotten better over the course of 2 or 3 years. So I guess we have to see if a pattern again develops with him getting beat week in and week out, or is he going to come and have a nice bounce back game against Dallas?
Yeah,
Hey guys, I'm sorry. I gotta run. So you
All
have
right,
a
man.
good show. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, buddy.
All right,
Bye-bye.
go sell some cars,
Good
buddy.
luck.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you guys see Shador got hurt?
No.
Yeah, oblique strain or tear or something.
Oh,
They just
good.
announced it. Yeah.
Joe Flacco time, everyone.
Woo! That's an
Oh,
oblique situation for Cleveland.
Stop it. You
All
should
right.
be ashamed of yourself right
All
now.
right. We'll talk
All
to
right,
you guys
John.
later.
See ya.